Tired of your old kitchen or bathroom? Upgrade to the home of your dreams with Manny and Courtney from CMK Construction. CMK Construction is Tampa's award-winning kitchen and bath leader for over 20 years. Right now, save $3,000 on a new kitchen and $2,000 on a new bathroom. And take advantage of our no money down and no interest financing until 2026. Imagine, design, build.
Streaming from the Tampa Bay 28 Weather Center in Studio A. This is Dennis Phillips Live Plus. Brought to you by CMK Construction, crafting Tampa's most exquisite bathrooms and kitchens.
How you doing, everybody? It is a Wednesday night edition of Dennis Phillips Live. Thanks for joining us, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or The Spot. And if you are a loyal viewer of The Spot, you were probably watching the Bolts take on the Avalanche last night. That was a game. The Avalanche were 30-3 going into that game in regulation games. Only 3 regulation losses going into last night. Well, now they have 4 as the Bolts came through with a 4-2 victory, got an empty netter in the last minute or so. So it was a great game, and the way we usually do things is, I know we every now and again get some new viewers on The Spot, people flipping channels. In fact, I get it all the time. I'll be out and, out going around doing shopping or whatever outside. And used to be back in, well, hey, we follow you on Facebook, or hey, we watch you on the news. But a lot lately is, yeah, I was flipping channels at like 7:30 and all of a sudden I saw you on there in a hoodie. I'm like, what's up? Is there a hurricane? No, there are no storms, but there is certainly some fog to talk about. But for the folks who are new to the show watching on The Spot, in case you didn't know, and I'm sure you probably do, we are now the official home, the broadcast partner of the Tampa Bay Lightning. So almost all the Bolts games from here on out, including the first round of the playoffs, which you got to figure the odds are pretty high. The Bolts are going to make the Stanley Cup playoffs, as hot as they are. Those games will be on The Spot. So on those nights, DPL is on YouTube and on Facebook and Instagram and streaming as well on our streaming app. But when the Bolts aren't playing, or there are a few other things, I think there's actually a women's hockey game coming up on Friday night. But on those nights, you'll see DPL on social. On the other nights, you'll see it on The Spot. So what do we do here? You know what? It's impossible to define. Now, I will tell you, when we first started this show, we've been doing this get-together, this family-type group for 20 years. Literally, we've been streaming for about 20 years on other platforms, way before Facebook Live became a thing. And there's a bunch of us, the OGs here, and there's a lot of us on Facebook right now, as always. But what we've done over the last 6 months when we went on broadcast is this kind of turned into whatever's going on that day. If there's not a lot of weather, who knows what we'll talk about. If there is, we will focus on the severe weather. So rest assured that if there is weather going on, we will be on it 24/7. And when there isn't, we talk about whatever y'all want to on Facebook. And that's kind of what we do here. Some folks watch on OTA, over the air, on The Spot, follow along on their phones on Facebook, and take part in the chat. As always, we have lots of folks here, and we like to do some hellos. I mean, for the old schoolers, people used to say, this is like Romper Room hello. Now, I know a lot of y'all, Romper Room was before your time. But nevertheless, for the folks who are here, Linda, how you doing? Newport Richie in the house. Lilman with Mary. Jules, as always. Big Bolts win yesterday. Charlotte and Seminole talking about the fog this morning, and it is going to be foggier tomorrow morning. By the way, this is what is known as a one-man band show. Literally, the entire show is run right here. There are no directors. There is no master control. I press this button to go to commercial breaks when I remember to do it. We have 3 commercial breaks, and y'all are my producer because on the chat here, I get, Dennis, break, break, break. So that's my reminder because I have a tendency to go on a tangent and go in any direction. Sometimes it's a soapbox, sometimes it's following what y'all are doing, but it really is what's happening today. And I'll tell you, a lot of folks were commenting on the fact that the Bucs have announced, and I don't know if it's an official announcement, but it's certainly been out there that Todd Bowles is being kept as the head coach for the Bucs next season. And it was kind of an interesting setup. And I don't know if you're NFL fans, I'm sure a lot of y'all are. So yesterday, when the Baltimore Ravens coach got fired, John Harbaugh, so there were 6 openings in the NFL for head coaching positions. But apparently Harbaugh's agent said 7 teams contacted them and asked about his availability. So one team who has a head coach who is still the head coach, that GM or owner contacted the agent of John Harbaugh and said, hey, is he available? Is he interested in go here? You know, a lot of folks are speculating, was it Miami's coaching situation? Because he was on the hot seat. They ended up playing pretty good down the stretch. So he was staying there, McDaniel. But, you know, a lot of people are curious who that mystery coach is. You know, was it Todd Bowles? I mean, who knows? But at the end of the day, Coach had 3 straight playoff appearances winning the AFC South or the NFC South. So I guess the Bucs are like, hey, you know what? The guy deserves another chance to right the ship, the pirate ship, if you will, because it fell off the tracks the second half of the season. We all know it. It did. They started out 6-2, were so amazing, and then everything just kind of fell apart. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, as you can see, we kind of go on tangents. We got a lot of stuff to talk about in terms of snow, cold, ice, fog. But before we do that, do want to finish up some hellos. Linda, how are you doing? Largo's in the house with Dawn. Maria, good to see you. Amanda, yay, Bolts. Jody, who's getting snow? What? Yeah. So if you believe the GFS, and most of us do not, but if you believe the GFS, there could be some winter weather coming in around January 20th. So that's going to be something we'll talk about in a couple of minutes. Largo's in the house with Candy, Sarasota, Judith, Judy in Lakeland. The Panhandle's in the house with Lynn. And we've got Hardy County with, Dorothy says Hardy. I'm assuming Hardy County, Dorothy. I didn't think you were in Hardy County for some reason. Homosassa with Karen. Kurt's like the Bolts are on a roll. Oh, yes, they are. Marie, nice to see you. Alex, good to see you as well. Carol, Leisha, watching from Maine. Janet, watching from Maine. So lots of folks here. Debbie watching on the spot and on Facebook. And knock on wood, so far so good. No freezing going on Facebook. It has been an issue, and our crack staff of engineers are working diligently 24/7 to see what's going on and why our freezing has been going on. Not on TV, mind you, but on social. But the last couple of days, we have been really, really good. Nathan saw Greg D at the game last night. Yeah, Greg won tickets at our holiday party. Greg won 2 tickets to go to the game. And what a game to win tickets to. Because honestly, I would argue, outside of the Panthers, that Avalanche game might have been the game of the year for the Bolts. So, Joel, how you doing? Good to see you. So here's what we're going to do. Facebook glitching a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's an internet thing or not, but right now I'm looking at it. So far, so good. Zephyr Hill's in the house with Allison. We've got Bill and Paula from Citrus Park. And Pasco's in the house with Aubrey. So here's what I want to do. We got a break coming up. But before we get into the break, I do quickly want to jump in and talk a little bit about what's happening outside right now. There is no dense fog advisory. You are in Hardy County, Dorothy. Thank you. Lake Placid's in the house. Bonnie from Highlands County. Palm Harbor, my stomping grounds, Lisa. So at this point in time, I'm not seeing any dense fog advisories yet. but there will be. There is no doubt in my mind. And when you see temperatures in the upper 60s to low 70s, where we are right now, and then you have dew points in the upper 60s to nearly 70 degrees, all the ingredients are there for fog. Because what we have here is a failure to communicate. Now, it's from Cool Hand Luke. My mind goes that way. Movie quotes are my thing. We have a woman in promotions who is a cinephile, and she loves movies. So we were talking about maybe having a show where we're doing movie quote trivia one night as well, if there's not a lot of weather going on. We are working on guests, different topics and whatnot, so it isn't just me babbling for a half hour. But I will mention that, again, talking about those dew points, when you see a dew point in the upper 60s, when you have calm winds, when you have clear skies, when you have had a cold snap and the ground is cold, you run into almost always pristine conditions for fog. And that's what we're experiencing and will experience for 2 more mornings. So today we hit the upper 70s to low 80s, and that's what was beautiful, because even though the mornings were foggy and will be even foggier tomorrow, the afternoons have been amazing. But we have another cold front on the way. We've got much colder weather on the way. Some of the models are hinting ice and snow across the deep south, maybe even into the panhandle of Florida. So we got a lot to talk about. I'm doing my best to time it out effectively tonight. So we will jump in feet first on all that coming up in 90 seconds as DPL continues. So, all right, that worked pretty well, guys. That was, thank you, Jules. That was pretty solid in terms of the time. And so Kim has ads in the reels above. Interesting. Sue in Pinellas Park. I don't have any ads on mine. I have none on mine. Yeah, I like the movie quote trivia idea. I definitely do. We had another, Kevin with the break. Thank you for the reminder. Gina, thank you. Hey, Gina, how have you been? Good to see you. So Gina used to work at a place where I bought one of my first cars in the Bay Area. Matter of fact, Gina, we just went over there last week and my son bought a new car. My son Brett drove down from New Orleans, because I know a lot of folks over at Sun, came down and he bought a new Toyota. He traded in his Toyota that he'd had for 15 years. We bought it for him in college, and he now has a new one, and he drove it back to New Orleans. So we have 29 more seconds. So anyway, and by the way, all stars go to Children's Miracle Network and Feeding Tampa Bay. So thank you very much. Dana has a flight tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. You are going to see some fog, and Dana, potentially there could be some delays. There could be some delays. That is a possibility. We are back in 5, 4, 3, 2. How you doing, everybody? Welcome back to Dennis Phillips Live. We're just sitting here reminiscing. Again, the breaks are the time where we really have a chance to go through the comments and say hi to so many folks. And Gina is like, snow, snow, snow. A lot of people are asking about the snow. All right, we'll jump into that in just a second. I do want to go back into what's a little more pertinent to our weather, and that would be fog. So let's go ahead and Marcy was right. It was foggy today. It will be even foggier tomorrow. So outside right now, it is 71 degrees. Skies are clear. Look at your dew point, 66. The winds are light. Humidity, 84%. When the temperature, 71, is the same as the dew point, and with light winds, you will get fog. Hannah wants to be a co-host for Movie Trivia. Movie Trivia would be a fun show. Frisco, Texas is in the house with Dave. I was wondering where you were, Dave. Nice to see you. So yeah, we could do movie quote trivia. We can't do music because you're not allowed to play music on Facebook. It will cut you off. And I don't think we're allowed on broadcast either because there's copyright things. Speaking of which, and I will jump back into this in a second. So people are asking, why is the music not up before we're on TV? We have a countdown. And for whatever reason, the bots that are alive and well on Facebook see that music and they flag us for copyright infringement saying, hey, you're not supposed to be using this music. Oh, yes, we are. We pay rights for this music. We have it every night, and the promotion, matter of fact, the person who I talked about who does movie trivia wanted to pick the music out. We own the rights, and yet the bots pick up on it because I guess they don't realize that I am related somehow, way, shape, or form to the news. So every day I get a, you have copyright infringement. And every day I respond, no, I'm not. We own the rights. And then 5 hours later, they release it. Somebody's got to get their act together because this has been going on for months. So today, what I did, and yesterday, if you noticed, I brought down the audio myself because I'm doing this whole thing, brought it down so you couldn't hear it. Although maybe you might be able to hear it just a little bit. But I'm curious to see if I get the copyright violation again because it happens every single day, and it drives me crazy. All right. Yes, we do not do politics trivia. That is correct. Michael, how you doing, my friend? Dominique, good to see you as well. High today, 76. There's the radar. Now, you look at that little green around the bay. That was just some dense fog that developed, some sea fog, or bay fog, I guess you could call it, this afternoon. Visibility was down low. Now, remember, if you're driving in the fog and you have to use your windshield wipers from time to time because the fog is so dense and it happens, clearly there's enough moisture in there for it to show up. So that's kind of what happens when the radar is showing up a little bit of green. It's picking up that dense fog across the area. All right. And by the way, when we talk, Futurecast looks good, maybe an easterly flow by Friday or Saturday for a shower on the East Coast, not for us. Front comes in on Sunday. That is going to bring us some rain. Jim with the sure missed that smoking bass line in the intro. That's pretty, well, you know what? You ain't going to hear it because I'm tired of getting that copyright infringement update. So anyway, all right, here's a look at the Futurecast for tomorrow morning. Visibility down near zero. Now, you may ask, or you may not ask, but I'll say it anyway. You may ask, why do we not want to have our bright lights on when the fog is on? Which, if you did not know that, you should not use your brights. You should use your low beams. Low beams are angled more down toward the road. Less likelihood that they will reflect off the water droplets. Okay? High beams are higher, designed to go farther down the road. Therefore, they are up higher, and they are more likely to reflect the light from the water droplets in the cloud you're driving through, fog, and have it come back in your face and zap you in the face, in your eyeballs. So that is why you do not use your brights in fog. And you should not put your emergency flashers on in a thunderstorm. I don't know if the law is anymore on that because I've heard so many things, but every time I'm driving, and I know there are some people watching right now who put your emergency flashers on during a thunderstorm. I don't know why. There's something about it that just gets me. I don't know. I don't even know what the law is. So I think they changed the law on that. I think there's literally a law that you're either not supposed to do it or, no, I know you're not supposed to do it, but maybe not supposed to. I don't know. Anyway, let's go back. So there's the fog. So tomorrow morning, that fog is going to be an issue at 6 a.m. Allie was driving into work this morning. Allie, our meteorologist, in the morning. And Allie had her cam, her dash cam showing, and she was driving down the road and there would be no fog, and then all of a sudden there was no visibility at all. That was more patchy fog. Tomorrow will be more widespread fog. Visibility getting a little better by 7 o'clock, from 0 at 6 a.m., 8 a.m., 3 miles, breaking up quite a bit by 10, 11 much better, and by lunchtime, we are back to unlimited visibility and a beautiful afternoon, okay? It develops again on Friday morning, but not to the extent that it will tomorrow morning. 6 a.m., 1 mile visibility. It'll be thickest inland. You know, every time I say thick, it reminds me of my cousin Vinny. Well, how thick? What thickness are they talking about? I'm drawing a blank, but I know he says it because it's how thick was it? You guys will tell me in the comments because I can't remember, but I know somewhere in my cousin Vinny they talk about something being thick. Oh, the glasses, the width of her glasses, the width of the witness. How thick are those glasses? 8 a.m., there's the fog. 10, 11, 12, you're good to go. And the fog will not be an issue nearly as much this weekend, all right? Highs tomorrow, once it burns off, sunny skies and beautiful afternoons, highs in the low to mid 80s. Big drop in temperatures by next week. Big, huge. Do you work on commission? Why, yes, I do. Big mistake, huge. Movie quotes. So that we're going to talk about that cold front and then what's behind that cold front, because that's the one that may bring some snow or ice to part of the Deep South later on this month. That continues in 90 seconds as DPL continues. Wait a minute. Where are my break comments? Are you guys slacking? Because I don't see, Alex, how you doing? I don't see the Dennis break comment. I don't see it. Oh, there Jules came in, but I think I beat her to it. Movie quotes are my thing. You guys know this. Movie quotes are my thing. Are we still on a break? Yeah, we're still on a break. We got plenty of time. As I'm reading more of the stuff here. Christine, how you doing? Jessica, good to see you. Yeah, that is one of my favorite quotes, the Pretty Woman quote. Do you work on commission? What? Yes. Big mistake. Huge. I've got shopping to do. All right. Yes, we are on a break now. Thank you. Jessica quotes Pretty Woman weekly. That's actually the only quote that I know, other than Slippery Little Devils, when the snails, the escargot gets popped across and the guy grabs it. I have not seen any hiccups yet. I think we're okay. All right, we're back in 15 seconds. I still have one more break, right? Jill says, I was typing as you started to go to the break. All right. Okay, so, all right, let's go. We'll come back to a full screen, right? So let's do it without the graphic, right? You think I agree? Start with a full screen? Okay. Third segment. 3, 2. How you doing, everybody? Welcome back to Dennis Phillips Live. My producers on Facebook have been telling me which shot to take, because if you're not familiar with how this works, literally the entire show is right here. So all of my computer graphics are right here. Changing shots are right here. On this computer, I can take the weather computer full, zoop, right there. I can take the social media computer full, zoop, right here. I can take pictures of my family's hot chocolate fundraiser here, zoop. Can take double boxes right here. So this is something that you usually have a director and a technical director do, but nowadays you don't need a technical director. Well, I'm not going to say that because production is here, but let's just say it is possible to have a show, but we also know that it blows up in my face quite often when I'm all doing here, but we do our best to keep the train on the tracks. All right, so let's talk about the extended, shall we? We already told you that a front is going to be coming in. All right. Here is a look at the GFS. All right. Here's Thursday. Now, look where we are. We're down here. See where that big high is? There's Florida. All right. Get your bearings. There's Friday. There's Saturday. Low pressure develops. The blue line, the 540 line, the freezing line is right there. So it's warm north. So that is not snow or ice, that is rain for the Deep South. That's Saturday. Unfortunately, by the time the front gets here, which is Sunday evening, there will not be much left in the form of rain. Very little chance of rain. But your 540 line, the freezing line, comes all the way down to central Georgia. So that means we get colder weather. And then the 540 line hangs around the mid-Atlantic. Maybe even a reinforcing shot of some colder weather next Thursday or Friday. Look at the 540 line again, down to the Florida-Georgia border. So the GFS is keeping us cold through next week. Look at that 540 line, even through Friday. So all of next week, it's cold. That's the GFS. And then it develops low pressure in the Gulf, and there you start to see ice or snow. This is almost 2 weeks out. Now, let's talk about that. There's the GFS, there's the Euro. GFS, Euro. GFS, Euro. What does that tell you? Are they identical? No, they are not. All right? Nor would you expect they will be, because What is our biggest thing to remember in hurricane season with the GFS? It's always wrong 2 weeks out. Almost every model is always wrong 2 weeks out. So if the GFS is showing snow and ice and storms and whatever 2 weeks out, who cares? It's going to be wrong 99.999% of the time. Every now and again, it's right, even a blind squirrel, right? Y'all know the saying. And last year, same exact time frame, January 20th-ish, there was snow across the Deep South. So look, no one's going to say it can't snow in January across the United States in the Deep South. Of course it can. But what I prefer, me personally, to do is to look at a pattern over the next week, which is much colder. And then from that 7 to 14-day period, look at the ensembles, which is more of a guide with 50 or 51 different models come together to kind of compare them, as opposed to one, which we call a deterministic model, which is going to be wrong the overwhelming percentage of the time. One more break, back in 90 seconds with our final thoughts on Dennis Phillips Live. Right? I did have one more break, right? Am I 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 right? Right. What movie is that from? Groundhog Day. Am I right? Right. Phil Ryerson. Phil, no. Phil's the weather guy. No, wait a minute. What's the guy's name? What's the insurance guy's name in Groundhog Day? You guys will tell me in a minute. Ned. That's it. Ned Ryerson. Needle-nosed Ned. Ned the Head. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Thank you for the break 3 comments. All right. So anyway, we got another 45 seconds. Let's finish with the 7-day, shall we? For the TV and the streaming people, because they only have about a 2-minute segment left. All right. And then you know what? Actually, I'll take the back. We will jump to the models real quick, and then we'll go to the 7-day for the finals, because they're going to have about 2:15 left. We're out at 58. Out at 58, producers. Okay, we are out at 7:58:00. And I see the commercial is running, because we're running a Publix commercial for Run Gasparilla, for the Gasparilla Run, which is a big thing. We will be live there. Okay, Citrus County. Yes, you are going to be foggy in the morning. Welcome back to our final segment of Dennis Phillips Live. Just had a Irma Lou asked me, is it going to be foggy in Citrus County tomorrow? Just tuned in. Oh, yes, it is. Red, how you doing? Good to see you. Yeah, we hit the brakes tonight. We actually hit the brakes, thanks to your help. Thank you for... So quickly, I do want to go back to the models one last time and then give you the 7-day, because we do have that fog tomorrow. Sarasota and South Marcy will also have fog. Again, when you look at the European, this is the snowfall prediction. This is the Euro AI. It doesn't show anything really across the Deep South. The light gray is like less than an inch. But if you look at the GFS ensembles, the GFS is saying not so fast, my friend. And the ensembles on about the 22nd does try to show a little something across the Deep South. It's 2 weeks out. It's meaningless, but that is exactly 1 year after what happened last year. I'm not saying it's going to happen again, but I'm saying let's not completely ignore the possibilities. But we do know the GFS is usually not so good on long range. Neither are any models. All right, one last look at the 7-day. There it is. Tomorrow morning, fog. Dense fog advisories are needed. Sunny in the afternoon, beautiful. Friday looks good. Fog in the morning, but not as widespread. Front comes in on Sunday night, brings us a few showers. Much colder weather next week, highs in the 60s. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So there you have it, folks. We covered everything. We are on time, and we're getting out for the streamers and broadcast on the spot. If you're watching on the spot and streaming, thank you so much. We'll be back tomorrow night with an update on the fog and our 7-day on Dennis Phillips Live. We made it out. I'm looking. We hit the commercial on time, and we are good. Shocker. Absolutely shocker, but we did it. All right, let's jump back and look at the other model data. So again, this is, if you look at it right here, here's your GFS snowfall ensemble. It really is kind of meaningless, but the point being is the GFS usually, we all know this, is usually more aggressive in any kind of changing weather than any of the other models. It's usually far more aggressive than the Euro. Now, this is not the European, this is the Euro AI. Now, if we were to call up the actual Euro, which is this one, I believe I can call up the ensembles on here. Yes, I can. So if we look at the Euro ensembles here, I've not looked at this map yet. Let's call it up and just see what the Euro ensemble is showing. Tomorrow night, and I'm going to come back on in a second, we're going to talk about this a little bit. It has to load, and it's not loading yet. It's still not loading. Maybe it won't. I don't know. Maybe we don't get this. I've not called this one up before. I don't see it, so let's go back to where we were. So all right, so here's the Euro ensembles. And if we were to call the Southeast, right here, okay, these are all the different ensembles. And this shows you total snowfall through the next 7 days, nothing. 8 days, one little run does show something there. E9 shows something. 9 days, look at E9. So this is the Euro ensemble, and one member, literally, well, let's see, one here, that's some snow, and maybe one here, mountains of the Carolinas, like Banner Elk. Few of them out there, actually quite a few of those. But nothing really for the Deep South, okay? Now that was how many days out? That's, all right, let's go to 9, let's go to 10. Now let's go 11. Now look at what we're starting to see. This is January 18th. Remember, the GFS was showing it on the 22nd, 21st. You start to see some of these in Tennessee, and nothing unusual about it, nothing in the Deep South, but still starting to show a little bit more. So then we go to the 20th, and the Euro is bringing snow, but not to the Deep South, except for this E9 run, which takes it into northern Louisiana, central and northern Alabama and Mississippi. And then a lot of snow in Virginia and western North Carolina. The skiers would love that. So, and here's some of the other ones. This takes us to the other 25. This is a total of 50 runs. So there are a few out there, but the majority keep it north. Whereas the GFS does have some ice and snow. Look at that. Okay, now here's why this is, okay, here we go. This is why the GFS, it's a perfect example of why the GFS is just out to lunch more often than not. What do we always say about the GFS with hurricane development 2 weeks out? It loves to spin up hurricanes that don't form. What was it, 462? It tried to develop 462 named storms, and we had 17, whatever the year that last year is when that came through like that. The GFS is very aggressive in what we call cyclogenesis a couple of weeks out. That's exactly what it's doing in this run. It's developing low pressure in the Gulf. So in other words, it's not following a front. It's not following an existing storm. It's creating low pressure in the Gulf. Okay, here's what I'll tell you. If this low were to develop, here, I'll go ahead and take it full so you can see it. If this low were to develop where it is, and the GFS says it is, there would absolutely be snow and ice across the Deep South, and probably in Florida. but you would have to have low pressure and a decent low develop in the Gulf because there's probably enough cold air. But then when you get ice, you've got cold air, and then you've got warmer air, and then a pocket of cold air down near the surface. So you've got warm, cold, or cold, warm, cold from top to bottom. And that creates ice. But if this low were to develop, then yes, you would have some Mobile, Alabama snow and ice. And New Orleans would probably get some ice too. But the odds of this happening, take that back. The odds of this model being right 2 weeks out, I'll say it again, just like hurricane season, 1% or less. Last year, we had that 1%. Absolutely, we did. Last year, so what are the odds that we hit 1% twice in 2 years? We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, that's the deterministic run. The ensembles, none of the European ensembles brought any snow anywhere or ice anywhere near the Deep South. It made it, one or two had it as far north as northern Alabama, and that's about it. And even that's probably an outlier. So there you go. That is it. All right. So we'll see. And last year what happened is, 2 weeks out, nothing. A week out, probably still nothing. 5 days out, 3 days out, and then all of a sudden, 24 hours out, there's winter storm warnings for part of Florida and the Deep South, and it was crazy. I'll say this again. I don't mind talking about long-range snow because it's not going to hurt anybody. It's not like a hurricane, right? You get a hurricane 2 weeks out, and there's a model that prints the GFS, which is always the GFS, prints out a Cat 5 right on top of us. I'm not going to show that because you're going to see that and freak out, as will most everybody else, because you know what a Cat 4 or a Cat 5 would do. It's ludicrous because I'll say this again, I hate being wrong. I hate being wrong more. Okay, let's put it this way. Let's say I get a forecast right 2 weeks out, and that would make me happy. But I'm nowhere nearly as happy with that 2 week forecast as I am mad when I miss a forecast 3 days out. Forget 2 weeks out. So I hate being wrong. Hate it. So if there's people out there who want to throw models in 2 weeks out just because they're showing it, whatever. When it comes with snow, I don't care. I mean, look, it's not my call anyway, right? It's their call. But when it comes to hurricanes, I think it's a disservice. I think all you're doing is scaring people, and you're not providing any sort of, people are like, oh, it helps them prepare more. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't, because you're not going to prepare for a storm 2 weeks out. You're just not. And when it's wrong 98% of the time, at some point you can be like, it's always wrong. I'm not going to listen to these guys. That's the problem that comes out when you're forecasting a hurricane that far out. And it has a big impact on people's lives. If it's going to snow, if there's going to be a couple of snowflakes or a flurry, I don't care. If it's 2 weeks out, big deal. If it doesn't happen, I don't think anybody cares because they don't really expect it. It's just a different thing entirely. That's my take. So anyway, all right, guys, that is it. Have a good night. Tomorrow night, we will be back on the spot yet again, so I will need you, my producers. And then Friday night, I think there's women's hockey on the spot, so it'll just be us again. So I'm going to have my dinner. I'm having a frozen pizza tonight for dinner. And you guys have a great night. As always, appreciate everything about you. And I will see you tomorrow night on our next edition of Dennis Phillips Live. See you guys.